Hello. My God. Right. First, a little bit about me, so you have some idea of why on earth I'm talking about this stuff. I've been around a very long time now. I started as a developer many, many years ago, C-Dev in fact, but I got promoted far before I was competent. Like 20 years ago I ended up as a technical manager, and I ended up working at Pixel. Anyone here from Pixel tonight? No? They're in York. I thought there might be some Pixel people here. 2 years at BBC, 4 years as a startup CTO for Barclay Brothers, who own Sark, and that was venture funded. And then 12 years ago, with my beautiful business partner, who's in here somewhere, I founded Isotoma, which is a technology agency, and it's entirely organically grown. And what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about what, and I think it's relevant particularly to organically grown businesses and agencies, which I think are probably quite relevant to some of the people here. I tried to find a picture that represented getting out of your comfort zone, and I'm absolutely shit scared of heights. So if I wanted something that was getting out of my comfort zone, it would be doing that, and I will never ever do that. I'm going to talk about some of the uncomfortable bits of business growth, which obviously we've heard a little bit about from Pip, but in a slightly structured way. I'm going to talk about what it means for your business, what growth looks like as you get bigger, and then what the impact is on you personally as well, or what the impact was on me, I suppose. It's quite a difficult process, and it does have some impact on you. This is a book, Predictable Success. I've stolen an image from it, so I thought I should promote the book a bit. It's actually a really good book. If you are planning to grow a business, I recommend you go and read it. I'm not going to tell you what's in the book particularly, but I did steal this picture, so that's why it's here. Also, I'm going to use it as evidence that my personal experience is in fact widely applicable, because I've got my data point and I've got his, so this is science. I'm going to extrapolate and say that it in fact applies to everyone. And this is the picture I stole. His entire book has this sort of model for the shape of a business as it develops. I'm not sure it necessarily applies to every business, but it certainly has applied to ours. And in fact, it also applied to previous businesses I worked at. The one that I was CTO of for the Barclay Brothers spent most of its time around about here, because it was in the dot-com bust. And don't ever start a business in a dot-com bust. That's my advice. So a lot of you who are entrepreneurs, which I understand there's some of you out there, you're probably, just by the law of averages, down the other end, down at early struggle and fun. And that's what, when you talk about growing businesses, that's often the stage that people talk about. It's the roller coaster and all the rest of it. And although there's lots of ups and downs, it's fun, right? There we go, fun. I'm good at this. You can tell I do have some skills. It doesn't include making slides. Now, we spend a long time in fun in our business, and it's absolutely fantastic. And this is the thing, that if you imagine starting a business, this is a really good bit, right? You probably start a business because you're already good at your domain, right? You know, I'm a great programmer, I'm going to go start programming business. When you're small, you can be involved in every single decision, you can be involved in every single project. You contribute to everything and you learn really, really rapidly. When you screw up, you can fix it fast. The cycle times are really, really short. And you often have got a small, close-knit team. What it felt like to me, and I've heard other people describe this, is you feel like you've discovered something new, some new magic, some secret sauce that all these old businesses don't really understand, all these fuddy-duddies with their processes and their forms and Jira. But what do they know, right? We have passion, we have made something new, right? And that is what it felt like for us. It is great, and the passion is valuable. But part of the reason that it's working for you when it works, and there is some survivor bias, clearly, is that you can hold the whole business in your head. And that means that lots and lots of the things that you probably think aren't necessary are purely a matter of scale. We used to do our entire workflow planning on a whiteboard, and once a week we'd just get together, draw pictures, there we go, done, it was in our heads, that was it, that's all we had to do. Now, lots and lots of people keep their businesses at this stage, and that's a really, really sane decision. You don't have to grow your business to be enormous. And I know loads and loads of people who stay here, and one of the takeaways from what I'm going to say today, I think, is make a rational choice about what it is you really want to get out of a business. Because passing out of this stage and trying to get, and there's an accountant's picture, right? He wants to get you to predictable success. But fun's good, right? 10 people, 5 people, whatever, this is great. Staying there is good. What we found is that around about 20 people, you move on to the next bit, which he calls whitewater, which is quite a good way of describing it. It sort of happens without you noticing. That's one of the problems. And it's the bit of kind of making progress that nobody necessarily tells you about. And I guess one of the points is that there is a discontinuity here, that some of the things that happen in these later stages aren't things that you experience initially. And what I found is it means that I made some mistakes, because you kind of think you know what you're doing because it was working, right? You were having fun, you were making money. What causes this, I think, is that your business grows and there's always a lag between the growth of the business and your ability to manage that, largely because of money, if you're growing organically. Yeah, you go and do a piece of work, you don't get paid for it for 3 or 4 months, you've effectively invested up front in delivering that work. That's fine when you stay the same size, but if you can imagine, as you grow, the size of that lag increases and it eats into your cash buffers, right? So even if you had perfect knowledge, organic growth is extremely challenging. You have to manage your future state with your current resources. Yeah. On top of that, you were having fun, you were doing it right. Why would you need to change anything? What we saw is that your quality starts to suffer. Number one, stuff goes wrong, it's a bit shit, you don't know why. And you were good at this, when you did it, it was fine. And now you've hired these people, and they're screwing it up, right? And it's quite easy to get cross at those people. But often, sometimes they are shit, but sometimes that's not the case. And in fact, often it's not the case. What's happening is you're not leading your business as effectively as you should. We have a lot of unhappy people, which doesn't help. And, it's a bad place to be when you end up with the quality of your product is poor, your customers are shouting at you, your staff are really unhappy. It's not nice, right? And with what I know now, I would know how to avoid that. But I kind of feel like you sort of have to go through the experience to learn it, potentially. Unless my talk is so good that you avoid it. One of the other things is it's quite likely you don't have the level of financial controls that you really need for a larger business. Yeah, you're very unlikely to do this to grow a business if you're an accountant. I don't know if you've ever met any accountants, but they aren't the kind of people that start a business. But you need those people. You need their systems and their advice. And putting those financial controls in takes time, and you often have to learn a new discipline. I mean, it's only recently I've been able to read a balance sheet and really understand it. It doesn't come naturally. And the final thing that was horrifying is you can have a lot of money going around the system, right? You can be making £100 a week sometimes, right? But you haven't made any profit. And this is kind of the key thing about the financial controls. You kind of feel like when there's millions of quid sloshing about, you should probably keep some of it, but that isn't guaranteed. It really, really isn't guaranteed. And you don't know why these things are happening. So, there are lots of ways of fixing these things. And if you want to learn, you can read the book. You can talk to me afterwards if you like. But one of the things I do want to call out is this one, which is something that I don't think it's talked about nearly enough. The fun bit is fun, but some of this stuff can be really, really stressful, and you need to look after yourself. Yeah. When you're the founder of a business, when you're one of the directors, nobody gives a shit about you, right? Which is fine. It is all your fault. Everyone who screwed up, you hired them. Every process that goes wrong, you designed it, or you hired the person who designed it. The clients, you won them, right? The work, you decided to do it. The prices, you chose them, right? It is all your fault, right? And you get blamed for everything, and that's not unfair. And you need to personally deal with that, right? You need to come up with a personal strategy for how you approach those things. And until you get it right, you will have all of these things, and they're really not much fun. Look out for stress, really look out for it, and try and manage it in yourself and come up with coping strategies. What you're not going to get, and you will hopefully get support from home if you're lucky, but you won't get much support in this stuff from the people you work with, unfortunately. That's just life. Is it worth it? So, first of all, starting a business is great, and so the fun bit is also great, and probably everybody ought to have a go, even if only to appreciate that when they fail, when they go and have another job, to appreciate their boss a bit more, because it's hard. When you're at that stage, choosing to decide, I want to have 100 people, I want to have 200 people, I want whatever it is that you want, God knows. Make a conscious decision that you're going to do that, and understand that you're going to go through a process that will take years to transform your entire business. And in that process, you're going to need to be hiring different sorts of people, you're going to be needing to work with different sorts of customers, and you're going to need to change yourself. And over the last 12 years, while I've theoretically had a single job title in a single company, I must have had 20 different jobs. And of course I was crap at all of them mostly, because I'd only just started doing them. And you need to be prepared to be literally the worst person in the room at your job, almost all the way through your career, which, not everybody's up for that. It's also worth it because you learn an enormous amount, and I've grown more as a person over those last 12 years because of this than almost anything other than possibly becoming a parent. Part of that is, just like becoming a parent, is because you learn from all the stuff you never ever would choose to do, right? Who, once they know what it's like, would ever have kids, right? And going to business is a bit like that. You come out the other end as a far, far better person, but the process of learning is extremely unpleasant. So you do need to be ambitious to change yourself as well, I would say. Right, that's me done.
Super, thank you. Thanks very much indeed.